Two members of the Metro Council are here. We'll highlight an organization helping young women, and we talk about comedy in Baton Rouge. Roll it, Kirk. Well, last week we got a chance to talk about the newly incorporated city of St. George, newly in quotation marks. This whole thing started about 11 years ago, and we spoke with Drew Murrell, who's with the group and an attorney for the new city. But let's talk now. Two members of the Metro Council are here. We'll highlight an organization helping young women, and we talk about comedy in Baton Rouge. Roll it, Kirk. Well, last week we got a chance to talk about the newly incorporated city of St. George, newly in quotation marks. This whole thing started about 11 years ago, and we spoke with Drew Murrell, who's with the group and an attorney for the new city. But let's talk now with a member of the Metro Council who basically represents what will be the city of St. George, Dwight Hudson, longtime council representative for District 7. So let's talk a little bit about what that means for District 9, excuse me.
District 9, no problem.
Let's talk a little bit about what that means going forward for this new city. I talked with Drew a lot about it last week, and the first question was about funding.
Sure.
Talk me through how you are sure there are dollars within the city for the city to function.
Sure. So the lifeblood of any municipality is the 2% sales tax here in the parish. You look at those numbers, it's 48 million is the projected numbers based on the previous years. Those numbers are based on kind of old data, so we're having those redone, and we'll have a new projection on that. But that is ample 2% sales tax in order to run the functions of St. George that they're going to be running. A
lot of people in the week since I spoke with Drew have asked about all of the commercial centers that have backed out of the city. The mall has backed out. There are portions of Segan Lane that have backed out. Women's Hospital is not in. L'Auberge is not in. Where is the sustainable areas of commerce that you say, hey, look to that to reflect that there are dollars generated by the city, not to mention the property tax values in District 9 and St. George as well?
Well, it's a broad area, right? So if you look throughout the southeast part of the parish, you've got a lot of retail, right? So you've got a lot of grocery stores, small retail, large retail. The sales tax generators are there. This is a little bit different from previous efforts like in Central, where they really just had the one. It was a Walmart in that area. Here we've got a very broad area, a large area of sales tax generators.
You know, the spotlight now is going to be on the working relationship between East Baton Rouge Parish, the city government of Baton Rouge, and St. George. Everyone has, while not been all that happy with the outcome on the other side of this, it has been fairly civil. How do you see this going in a way that works for both the city of Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish, and this city?
Well, I can tell you how it should go. We all have an obligation at this point to make St. George a success, is how I feel. You know, regardless of what's happened in the past, whether you thought it was a good idea or a bad idea, our obligation as elected officials or as anyone serving is to serve our constituents, right? And so it's a new municipality in the parish. We've got to come together and make sure that it works on both ends of the deal, for Baton Rouge and for the city of St. George.
How do you speak to the racial undertones of what this has been for the larger part of when it's been going on? There's some people uncomfortable with the way that this has happened and the lack of diversity in the leadership of this movement. How do you address that and assure people that this isn't either white flight or some racially divisive move?
You know, I would just say that if you really think that it's racially motivated, then the normal thing that would have happened is for people to just move, right? Voters have been doing that. Constituents have been doing that in this parish for decades now. This is a group of people that said, no, we want to see things happen the right way. We want to take control of our local government. We want to address our crime and infrastructure issues. We like where we live. We like our neighbors. It's a very diverse area when you look around. And so, look, people are putting their foot down and saying, no, we want better government. We're going to stay here and we're going to make this thing happen.
What does better government look like?
Yeah, I think it means a focus on crime and infrastructure. You know, those are the things that constituents come to me the most about, right? when they have a pothole issue, particularly if they have a drainage issue, those are the things that folks care about the most. And so they want that 2% sales tax dollar to focus on those issues.
Are you going to be the next mayor of St. George?
I hope not.
Seems like, what about you currently are on the city council here, but
Correct.
What about serving on the council for the city?
Yeah, so I'm going to be running for Metro Council again this fall, and I'm committed to that 100%. I can tell you, and Clay, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I have a young family. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old at home. I really would not like to take on more responsibility at this point due to my family, right? I want to see them maybe graduate through high school before I take on any much larger roles that take up a lot more time. Public service can be a bear sometimes, right?
A little bit.
And so I want to be conscious of that. I do. Look, I want to be very involved with St. George. And would I love to be mayor of St. George one day? Sure, absolutely.
Quickly
but
here.
Right now, not.
Less than 30 seconds. Where will the city hall be in the interim?
Yeah, that's up for the new council to decide. I think a very logical place would be there near the St. George Fire Department.
Okay.
But it's up for debate.
All right, as this moves forward, we'll talk more with Councilman Hudson about what's happening in the city of St. George. Don't be a stranger.
Yes, sir.
All right. Up next, the representative for District 10, Carolyn Coleman, is on the set next. She is the representative for which district?
District 10, the only one I know, the best district that's out there.
Listen, the first time I met this lady, I've told this story before, she was in a forum. We were on Zoom doing a candidate forum because of COVID and all of that. And the energy was hopping off the screen. And I remember after the forum thinking, I don't know how anybody beats that right there. And then she's the elected member of the Metro Council representing District 10 that encompasses both Southern University and LSU. I was telling them in Master Control, I was like, how does that happen?
Best of both worlds, Clay.
The best of both worlds. So I just had Dwight Hudson here talking about St. George. Before we get to some things in the city and specifically in District 10, what are your thoughts on the new city of St. George?
Well, I do know that they've been trying to do that since 2018. I know that there are a lot of unanswered questions as well as I move around in the district. As late as yesterday, folk are still with some questions that are not answered that live in that district. They talk about the jagged lines there. They talk about a 4-to-3 voting there. They have concerns about that. They talk about whether or not their tax is going to increase, and so for us not to think that it won't. Well,
yeah, I was asking Councilman Hudson about it, and he says there's ample revenue there to pay for the city. And my specific question was about the mall moving out, LeBaire's moving out, Woman's moving out, sections of Segan Lane. And I guess over the next few weeks, we'll find out. I don't want to dominate your time talking about that, and I do want to have you back once we know more about the numbers.
Sure.
What do you think about the status of the city overall right now?
Well, Baton Rouge is a great place to be.
No doubt.
I think that as we grow, and it is growing, that there are some growing pains, and that's with anything. But I see the growth, not just in 10, but it is plenty good growth in 10, but throughout the city of Baton Rouge. Right. And then it's like there's always room to grow. There's always more that can be done, need to be done. So it's important that we assess exactly what that is and how to do it and collaboratively do that.
Look, you and I in your time in office have gotten close, and I appreciate you as a leader and how direct you are. Let's talk about crime, which is a big subject here. And you and I, and before we talk about crime, Alyssa, I want to highlight something happening in District 10. It is an initiative called Hands on Our Children that happens, and you can get into it. There's a graphic on the screen. You can call the Leo S. Butler Center at the number on the screen there to find out how you can take advantage of this program. Councilwoman Coleman, what is this initiative?
Well, you said it. If we do not pour into our young people, then crime will be elevated. And what we are doing here in District 10 is Hands on Our Children. I was asked to do that. Keep my hands on the children, which is a very, very important resource, one of the most important resources that I know. And so what we're going to do is provide some not only academic services for these children, but some enrichment, some enhancement, just wrap around. You talk about true wraparound services to make them better. And when we make them better, crime got to go. It must go.
You know, we talk a lot about crime, and there's so much conversation about the enforcement, which I believe in. You have to arrest from time to time. But if you don't invest resources into kids, into poor families, into disinvested communities, it doesn't matter what the hell else you do, you are never really going to impact crime.
You're never going to, and so we cannot arrest our way out of this. So we've got to have education. We've got to have services that will, see, so often we do the same old thing over and over again. Clay, let me tell you, there's a population of students that are in our school system. And believe it or not, these children have ankle monitors on them. That there ought to be a something in place for that population that will get them on down the road. But you know what they said? Wow, we're here at the school, and it's aligned to how we're treated at the jail. You get breakfast, you get lunch, and you just sit. So what are we doing? There has to be some training done, and this has to be some individualized stuff for our young people, and somebody that can get in there and do it and be able to see what are you, what's in you, young man, what's in you, young lady, that we can definitely get in there and massage and work and connect you to the right resources in order to make you actualize that gift that's on the inside of you. Folk don't realize it. I don't care how rough they may look, how rough, they have a gift, and it is incumbent upon us to find out what that gift is and actualize it.
Man, she is the best. She is the best. District 10 Representative Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. Let's talk more about investment, specifically for young women. We'll do that next. So in the last segment, we were referencing investment in young people. In this segment, let's talk about an organization that's actually doing it. Outstanding Mature Girls, going all the way back to 2013.
OMG.
OMG, and the force behind it calls herself, I won't even do it on this TV show.
Please stop.
Sashika, little sis, who most of y'all saw that social media post with me with my Western hat on. There she is, right here.
It's going to go viral.
Nice guy, it already is.
Okay,
and so speaking on screen is Dana Buckley, and here for support. You know, everybody knows Sarah Holiday right here, and this is Anya, Sashika's daughter, and as interesting as it is, my goddaughter who's here with us. So let's talk about OMG, Outstanding Mature Girls. What is it?
So OMG is a youth mentoring organization for girls ages 9 to 19. We teach them leadership skills, life skills, and value. And our goal is to educate them. We are, I would say we're probably the only ones that educate girls on HIV and AIDS, like being our focus, and to emulate great examples of leadership and to advocate for themselves.
So let's talk about this event. Alyssa, if we can get, I see the website right there for OMG. We'll put the graphic up in just a second. There is a conference coming up. Dana, tell me a little bit about that.
Our annual,
there it is, right there.
Yes, our annual youth conference will be on June 1st here at the Baton Rouge River Center, where we'll cover topics like self-esteem, wellness, things to do in emergency situations, information that our girls need, and our goal is to get it to them sooner than we got it. So that's always the goal at the conference.
You know what's fascinating that people don't think about, that kids who grow up, particularly in disinvested communities, have blocks of information that don't get filled for whatever reason. So when they come to an organization like yours, they get those boxes checked and those blocks filled. Everything from self-esteem to being able to have some direction. What's the biggest thing you think you accomplish with young women?
The biggest thing is the consistency.
Explain.
So we meet every week. We meet every week with our young ladies, and we have a value each month. And so our value this month is choice and accountability. And we definitely go hard when it comes to choice and accountability because, I mean, that's just life in general when it comes to ourselves and to young people.
Yeah.
And so they harness in on it, and they take what we teach them and they actually apply it. And so we feel really good to see the growth within our girls, the girls who may have started off a little rough, and to see them now excelling and just succeeding in life is, you know, is big for us.
What do you get from the parents? Because I know parents have to be very excited that their kids are participating in this.
Yes, they're always excited, Clay. We get that we give a lot of support for them, so what they have going on, we're there to have their back, and including them in on whether it's service, exposure to different things. They really appreciate the fact that we have their back in the things that they're already teaching their kids and bringing more to the table.
Let's get to some of the important stuff. I got about 45 seconds. How can people donate to OMG?
Oh, they can always donate to OMG.
You will call to get the money.
They can go to our website, outstandingmaturegirls.org, girls with a Z. And
There it is right there.
Yes, and they can donate.
With
they
the
can,
Z.
Yes, and you can select any amount because, as you can see, we take our girls on retreats to just experience. Some girls have never left Baton Rouge, much less seen the beach. And so we're able to take them to the beach camping. We did our first camping trip with the girls. Woo! It was an experience.
Yeah, you took a bunch of black girls in the woods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was real.
Yes. Yes.
Who slept and who didn't sleep?
It was real.
Just call that what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
So who, did y'all cook or have
Yes. So we
no
cooked.
Uber Eats out there in the
No,
woods?
we sang campfire songs. I mean, we literally camped in tents.
Yes. Y'all do that every year, huh?
We did it the first time last year. We're doing it again this year.
Our fall retreat.
Yes, indeed. Outstandingmaturegirls.org. Hey, look, earlier this week I had the opportunity to be at one of our Head Start facilities, and you can see on the screen right here these little faces waving at us, just saying hello. It's Teacher Appreciation Week across the country. The men and women who educate our children are as important as the men and women who work in fire departments or work on police stations. We enjoy the work of teachers. We appreciate all of y'all, and with all of that energy after I was done, I needed a nap. Let's talk about the comedy scene in Baton Rouge. We'll do that next. Y'all come on back. Well, you know what it's like when you let a comedian on set. You never really know what's going to happen or what's going to be said, especially one you go 20 years back with. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony King. Most of y'all know him.
Yes.
Comedian here, and there's a lot to get into, man. The comedy scene in Baton Rouge has evolved.
Yes.
When I started in broadcast a long time ago, comedy was basically people coming into town from other places, and now there's so much homegrown talent, and you're kind of at the forefront of that. Tell me about the comedy scene in Baton Rouge.
So the comedy scene in Baton Rouge, I would attribute the reason that it's grown from years ago to now. You can't forsake what social media has done, right? And so when people are exposed to something and they can see images, see what other areas are doing, it inspires people. And the one thing that everybody always says, well, why can't I bring that home? Why can't I do that here? So there have been different outlets that have been, providing growth for the comedy scene. And we've actually had a lot of comedians who have come through who've gotten their start here. And so when you start to see those stories and just over time, it inspires the next generation of comedians and they start putting in more work. And it just gives them, an avenue to practice and rehearse.
How competitive is it?
Oh, man. Think Game 7 of the finals, man. Think any competitive sporting event, that's how competitive it is, right?
Yeah.
Because as comedians, and I always tell people, to get on stage and to allow yourself to be judged by people that you don't know, there has to be some type of chip that you have.
Tell me about it.
Everybody's trying to one up the other person. Everyone is, but one thing I can say is that for the most part, the people that I've had experience with, it's kind of a healthy competition. It's not so much like I want to, pull a Nancy Kerrigan and hurt your leg type thing. I don't want you to do bad, but I just want to do better than you, know? So I think it's healthy because, it kind of sharpens iron sharpens iron, and it gets the best out of everybody.
So you were saying during commercial break that you are not a dirty comic, which, I know that to be true, but that's got to be hard.
Not really.
Okay.
So, we have our radio background.
Yeah.
And so one thing that's always said about radio is that it's theater of the mind. And so it's not difficult because what I do is I lead people to think about what I would or might say. And so you can finish the joke for me. So it's not like I'm omitting the words. It's just that I do it in a way to where it brings an emotion about your experience and what it is that I'm talking about.
No, it's funny because radio does train you how to separate between live and not live, because most DJs or talk people we worked with, you know, curse like Red Fox. Google him, kids. Let's talk about where this is going. Where are you going? Where is Tony King going?
So I'm always one that's always looking ahead. And so, you know, I've had the experience with radio, television, but the next challenge that I'm in the middle of is film. And so I've had the opportunity recently to have my 15 Seconds of Fame. I was in the most recent release of The Underdogs with Snoop. And so that was #1 on Amazon Prime. So I've been a part of a #1 movie, so I can say that. And but now I'm just working in film, writing, acting, and getting a lot of great opportunities. And there's some heavy things that are on the way.
Tell people how they can learn more about Tony King, like where you're going to be performing or how they can see your stuff.
Well, everything is Tony King is Funny. I like to keep it simple. You can find me everywhere. Tony King is Funny. You can find me on Facebook, Tony King is Funny. You can find me on Instagram, Tony King is Funny. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, Tony King is Funny. You can even find me on ChristianSinglesMeet.com at Tony King is Funny. Don't ask. Don't ask.
Really?
Yeah. I'm on FarmersOnly.com at Tony King is Funny. I'm everywhere the people are, man.
Y'all go see Tony. Listen, this is a big weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend, and for all the moms out there, we appreciate everything you do. There's a graphic for Mother's Day. We appreciate all the moms, the sacrifice, the hard work, the commitment, and above all else, remember, Father's Day is in June. So y'all can come back. Look at the faces in the room. That's all right. We got love for moms, but we want to make certain that dad gets his attention too. Listen, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. Next week, we're going to have a conversation about how to manage that. 2 different segments that focus on mental health and how if you're not okay, it's okay to say you're not okay. And then what's happening in Washington, D.C. Let's have a chat about that. And the Constitutional Convention. Does it make you nervous? Are you excited, anxious? We'll get into it next week. Y'all have a great weekend. And seriously, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. See you next week.
Yeah, man.